Hey guys, jayvee here, and today I'm sharing my ultimate starter guide for Hitman 3. Be sure to subscribe and hit the bell for more videos just like this. The finale to the World of Assassination trilogy is finally here. After playing the game for several hours now and completing the first two games before launch, I wanted to share a bunch of tips for those either returning to the series or playing for the first time. Big thanks to IO Interactive for sending me a review copy to share with you. When you first hop into Hitman 3, it's very tempting to not follow the objective, especially if you're the kind of player like me that always goes in the opposite direction, trying to find optional things or, collectibles, stuff like that. But it's important to remember that this is a sandbox, and the mission stories are designed to show you a lot of the level. Without these, you lose a lot of context on what's going on, and that context actually leads you to uncover more secrets about the location. So it's my best advice to, just follow the mission stories the first few go-arounds. Keep in mind that some of these are time sensitive, so that means you can completely miss them unless you reload a save to an earlier time in the level. Agent 47 can detect any interactable object in the level by using instinct mode, and this is unlimited. It's just super helpful. I'd recommend that you use this as much as possible because it's so key to the intel gathering phase, which is something you're gonna do the first time you drop into every single location. The reality is there's a lot of different rooms, a lot of big wide open spaces, and small things are very easy to miss. No matter what you're doing, just remember to use instinct mode to make sure you're not missing things like keys, small key cards, and really helpful items you can pick up. I can definitely understand not wanting to use instinct mode too much, or even not using it at all, because it makes you feel more immersed and like you're finding things for yourself. But at the same time, this is an immersive sim. It's an experience with a lot of trial and error, a lot of saving and reloading, especially the way that I play it. So you really do need all the information you can get in order to pull off some of these more creative assassinations. Speaking of items, I would say pretend you're a vacuum cleaner and just grab every single small item that you see. Soda cans especially are your best friend. A lot of small items, in fact most of them, are labeled as non-lethal, which means 47 can throw them and use them as a distraction to move guards from a particular area or aim them directly at someone's head in order to knock them out. And since 47 technically has no carry weight, no item limit, he can hold a ton of items. Just grab as many small items as you possibly can when you see them. They always come in handy. When you're grabbing these, as long as you're not trespassing in a certain area, meaning that you have the right disguise or you're not somewhere where you're not supposed to be, no one is going to suspect you for doing this. Meaning you can grab that banana, you can grab that coconut, whatever it might be, no one's going to suspect you. Speaking of, there are a list of best items that I just recommend that you grab no matter what when you see them. First off, wrenches and screwdrivers are very useful. Both of these are used to set up different kinds of kills or to cause distractions. And it's always nice when you just have these on hand, instead of grabbing a new disguise like a maintenance worker, for example, and then being like, oh, I don't have a wrench to do this one specific thing as this disguise. It's nice to just have that in your inventory because you grabbed it earlier. Crowbars are especially useful in Hitman 3 because these are used to open a lot of the shortcuts, which is a new feature in this game that really changes the way and the flow of the level. And then finally, I've found that emetic rat poison is almost always helpful. If I ever need a specific disguise, this is one of the easiest ways to get it. So it's nice when you just have this on hand. IO themselves have said that they understand that save scumming is a very important part of this experience. It's all about trial and error and experimenting and seeing how AI behaves. Depending on how you want to play this game, it's always a good idea to save often. Hitman 3 does have a good autosave system, but I've found that I felt it could be a little bit tighter, which means I think it's a really good idea to save before you attempt specific actions. Unless you've played these locations over and over and over, you don't know all of the guard paths and you don't know how people are going to react when you do something. So it's a good idea to just go ahead, be safe, make that manual save, and if you make a mistake, you can quickly load back. That's the magic of these next generation consoles and SSDs on PC. It's so quick and easy and painless to load back, but it can be painful if you didn't save and have to go back like 10 minutes and then repeat a lot of the stuff that you already did. My next recommendation is to just explore the level as much as you possibly can. And while I do recommend following mission stories for the first few times, a lot of them are not time sensitive, which means you do have some wiggle room to move around and explore. Part of replaying these levels is, like I said before, the intel phase. It's about absorbing as much information as possible, touching as many interactable items and collecting them, finding disguises, uncovering hidden paths. This is what brings out the most in each of these levels. Using both of the new features, first off, shortcuts, which really do change the flow of the level when you're replaying these missions, and then the camera, which is used to gather information and, again, open new paths in order to navigate these locations. Each individual action that you take almost counts as a challenge, so doing more of these, exploring more of the level and touching more things, it just nets more score in the end. One of the absolute easiest ways to explore an entire level is to find a disguise that gets you access absolutely everywhere. That way you're not worrying as much about enforcers, but also trespass zones. And I've found that even in Hitman 3, that's usually the elite guard. If you find the highest tier of guard, that lets you go absolutely anywhere that you want to. Grabbing disguises is a core part of the gameplay loop, and there are some best practices for doing this. First off, once you've found which disguise you want, it's important to study paths and find the portion of that route where the person that you're looking for is isolated. Most rooms and most groups of NPCs that you're looking to get their disguise for do have a part where they can be, distracted away from their route or where they can be isolated. Passing by a bathroom, for example, is a great opportunity. Lots of these have bins to dump bodies, and most of them have a sink that you can overflow. If you're not able to isolate groups of guards, emetic rat poison, once again, is so useful. Most enemy types have someone that drinks something somewhere on the map, so if you're able to do this discreetly, you can drop in the rat poison to make them sick, then follow them to a bathroom to take them out. Some disguises allow you to carry weapons openly, and one of those is any kind of guard usually allows you to carry a weapon. And I would advise, carry that weapon openly. It's to your advantage if you're a guard. But at the same time, if you're not a guard, someone that can carry a weapon, make sure you're not carrying a weapon. That makes you suspicious immediately. Most objectives in Hitman 3 are located in places that you're not allowed to go unless you have access via a disguise. But it's important to keep in mind that there are usually multiple ways to enter any given place. If you walk up and guards tell you that you can't pass into an area, just don't give up there. Find another way around, and usually staircases or approaching that area from the exact opposite direction helps. If you happen to get caught trespassing, don't freak out there either. If you don't have a weapon out and it's a single guard, then you're not really a threat. You're just someone where you're not supposed to be. So they'll actually ask you to escort out of the area and follow them, which is like the dumbest thing to do. Use this opportunity, if it's safe and no one's looking, to take out that person that caught you and take their disguise. If you are caught with a gun, you have the option to fake surrender, and most of the time, the person catching you is going to ask for backup. So if you happen to be in this situation, you can knock them out in a quick time event. These are some of the most fun situations in Hitman 3 because they force you to improvise. It's always fun to see how these things work out. In some cases, even if you do have a disguise, guards will ask to frisk you for weapons. Just keep in mind that anything labeled as illegal item in your inventory will instantly get you caught. So you'll need to dump those items, and bathrooms are probably the best place to do that. They typically have trash cans that allow you to stow away weapons. Just make sure that no one sees you do that. Security cameras can be pretty intimidating, but unless you're playing on a higher difficulty, you really don't need to worry about these. You'll hear this beep sound effect and then the little window in the top left showing you where you've been spotted by a security camera. Again, unless you're going for a specific challenge or you're on a higher difficulty, it is okay to get spotted by these. You don't have to worry. However, if you are spotted and you have time and you want to complete the mission without being spotted, it's smart to shoot out cameras if you have a silenced pistol with you. And at the same time, if a level has cameras, that means that there is a security room somewhere. So this is an area where you can manually destroy the evidence of you ever being there. Doing this automatically nets you more experience at the end of the level, so if you do get spotted, you might as well find this and destroy that evidence. And finally, let's talk about movement, some best practices for navigating levels. As long as you're not trespassing in an area, you can run as Agent 47, so don't be afraid to do it. You might look goofy most of the time you do if you're running around, but you get score bonuses for completing levels quickly, so just don't be afraid to do this. Also, many people may not realize when you crouch down, you can actually run in that stance, which is really helpful to slip by areas where you're trespassing, or if you need to throw a coin to distract someone while you get past them. Moving around levels is so important, especially with enforcers who can see through your disguise. But again, don't be too afraid of these guys, because as long as you maintain distance and you're not being suspicious, like running around in front of them or having a weapon out, you can walk right past these guys. It's kind of like the old school Assassin's Creed games. As long as you're not too close and you're not being weird, it's fine. The best way to do this is to break line of sight or blend in a crowd if you need to pass close by them without being seen. And then finally, be patient with guard routes, especially if guards are having a conversation and they're talking loudly and you can hear exactly what they're saying. Usually once they're done with that conversation, they move, and that informs you on whether you can pass by or whether you can isolate them to grab a disguise. That is everything I have to help you hit the ground running with Hitman 3. And I really hope my starter guide helped. If it did, remember to subscribe if you haven't already, and hit the bell to receive live notifications so you don't miss my next video. You can also follow me on Twitter, I'm at jayvee on YT, and Instagram, jayvee.yt, to stay up to date. If you want to chat more about new and upcoming games like Hitman 3, join our community Discord server over at discord.gg/jayvee on YT. Links for everything I've mentioned are in the description below. Big thanks to my YouTube members, Ultra fans Dave, Grass, Deadwalker, Bill, Cam, Jacob, and Cullen. Super fans Kamal, Casey, Tipsy Sergey, Tarl K, Ryan, and Tia. Fans John, Matthew, Spyro, JVO, Level 42, Joe, Lil Man, and Blood Sky. And supporters Nos, Nightmare, Sung, Taryn, Adam, Blaze, Mr. Hollow, Quickness, Firkin, Abhishek, Rivi, John, and Jennifer for supporting the channel. If you want to support me further, click the join button below this video. In exchange for your support, you'll unlock custom badges, emotes, and monthly play sessions with the community. Check the link below for more information. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you next time.